Hello, my name is Jordan Chatfield, and along with Connor Dowd and Gus Campbell, we would like to present a short video on how our controlled absorption acoustic panels work. So what are they? Well, this is a panel that you would line a room with multiple copies of, and through an app allow you to control the coverage of a plexiglass sheet on each panel. By changing the coverage of the plexiglass sheet versus the fiberglass insulation beneath it, multiple of these panels lining a room would allow for real-time changing of the impulse response of a room. And now on to Gus to discuss how that might look and how it would actually work.
Moving on here, we're going to take a look at how we could use our panels in a real-life situation or installation. In SketchUp, I went ahead and modeled both our panels, some regular acoustic panels, and a full open space, very similar to like a town hall, an auditorium, or even a church building. In this case, with this room being so large and having so many hard reflective surfaces, the reverb would be crazy and the reverb time would be incredibly uncomfortably high. We'll get into reverb time a little bit more in depth later on, but I wanted just to kind of show you how these would look in a real life installation. Now before we put in any kind of panels, including the ones on the ceiling, this room would be so reverberant that it'd be hard to hear someone talking right in front of your face. You wouldn't be able to hear anything people in front are trying to present. It would just be really obnoxious to listen in. With our panels, we have a lot of control over how things sound, how dry or how lively we want the room to be. And with everything installed, including our panels and the ceiling panels, this room becomes a pleasure to listen in, and everything becomes a lot more clear. Diving in a little further to RT60, the reverb time of a room is a really useful tool in the room acoustics to understanding what we're dealing with. RT60 represents the amount of time in seconds it takes for the sound pressure of a specific frequency to drop 60 decibels. So if the reverb time is really high, we know we're dealing with a really reverberant, larger room with lots of hard reflective surfaces. Every material has an innate sound absorption quality, which can be represented by alpha. For hard reflective surfaces like metal, concrete, or wood, it's going to be very low, very close to zero. But for soft material like carpet or the insulation in our acoustic panels, it's going to be close to, if not above, 1. In the panel that we're using, the fiberglass insulation inside at the frequencies were tested was above a 1, about a 1.05, and the plexiglass is right around 0.4. We can take a look at the formula for RT60, shown here, as K times V divided by A. K is a constant, V is the volume of the room in cubic feet, and A is the equivalent absorption surface, shown here, where it's A, or alpha, the aforementioned sound absorption coefficient, times S, which is just the square footage of the treatment. Now in this case, we would have to apply this formula for every single wall, so the total A is going to be alpha 1 times S1, which could represent one of the walls, plus alpha 2 times S2, which represent another wall, and so forth and so forth. Looking at our SketchUp model, the dimensions of the room were about 66 feet long, about 35.5 feet wide, and on average about 19.5 feet tall. Now I found an online calculator that used the exact same formulas mentioned above, but allows me to put in all the different alphas and various things I needed to do these calculations. Without any kind of treatment, starting off here, we're looking at about a 5.4 second reverb time. Now this is assuming all the walls are sheetrock, the floor is wood, and there's no any kind of windows or people inside or any furniture. This is such a worst case scenario based test, and that kind of a 5.4 reverb time is going to be so obnoxiously reverberant you won't be able to hear anything. It's going to be so unclear and very uncomfortable for anyone listening inside. Now once we add in the ceiling panels, we can see a huge improvement already, down to about 4.2 seconds, already a second drop. It's going to be a lot more clear, but definitely not where we'd want as a full-time, listening space or places that customers or patrons are going to be for a long period of time. Once we install our panels, we have a range again, and once the plexiglass all the way down to the highest reverb time after the installation, we're looking at about a 3 second on average and a 2.4 second best case scenario. That's going to be the top range of our app, and if we raise the plexiglass all the way up so it's just the panels, we're looking at about a 2.2 second reverb time on average with a best of a 1.8. Considering we started above a 5.3 time, that's a huge difference and a major difference in clarity for the people listening in.
And now on to Connor, as he'll explain a little bit how our app works and what it's actually doing when it's giving you the impulse response.
It's easy to use the Panel Touch software. To start a test, hit the test button. You can always make a second recording if you would wish. To calculate the impulse response, press Calculate. And to view your graph, press Plot. There's a view at the bottom that lets you know whether your panel is disconnected or connected, and these arrows allow you to control it. I switched over to an audio interface and a Shure SM57 microphone and 2 studio monitors to ensure better quality. I'm also using MATLAB to plot the results instead of the Swift library. Here we see the results in an office space with the panel fully lowered to maximize reflections. In the next plot, we see the results with the panel raised. You can see the tail of the impulse response tapers much faster.
Thank you for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed this short video on how our controlled absorption acoustic panels work.